forward, I wanted to just take a quick moment to introduce his topic and talk a little bit about just how much AI is impacting the marketing space. And I know Arvel is going to really dive into this, but I would imagine if you all are anything like our business, you are seeing AI becoming an everyday conversation point. But as Arvel's going to be talking about, how do we take that conversation point and turn it into practical use cases, practical strategies that we can implement? So I'm really excited to hear what Arvel has to share with us. I'll go ahead and invite him to the front, and let's get rolling. Everyone, welcome Arvel.
Sir, good morning.
Good morning.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to talk to you all about AI. I don't know if you like AI, you're scared of AI. I know when I meet people, there's a large variety of opinions when it comes to AI. You know, some people are scared of it. Some people are excited about what it's going to do. Some people think it's going to, change the world or mess up the world. So, but I'm kind of a nerd. I'm a marketing nerd. I'm quick to jump on technology. I've always worked at a small company or worked for myself. So technology has always been an advantage that I could do. And so for AI, it was like, how can I do more with lower budget, without many people? And that's been kind of my strategy. That's been my focus, right? So some people are excited about AI, what it can do. But in reality, I do want to admit that it is a controversial variety type of topic, right? I say there's the good, the bad, the ugly, and the unknown. The good is how it's going to make you rich and you can make money while you sleep. And got some AI working for you right now. I mean, I've got AI right now on LinkedIn and email, reaching out to people, reading over their LinkedIn profile, customizing conversations for business development. Right now, it happens. So it's great. But the negative side is that it will replace some jobs. It is a reality that as it gets better and smarter and faster, it's going to do things that people can do. And so we have to find a way to navigate that. And the good, the bad, the ugly of AI, whether it's deep frauds and deep fakes and all this kind of stuff, to me, that's just the ugliness of humanity. Because it's people who are using it for those purposes. So the AI isn't necessarily evil, but unfortunately, that side of humanity might use it for evil purposes. And then lastly, there is the unknown. Terminator, Matrix. We know what happens when AI is smarter than us. What does that look like? We don't know. But for now, the goal is to, I always say, be positive, proactive. So my goal in this conversation, and whenever I talk about AI, I'll give you some practical stuff. But I feel compelled to share with people what's happening, because I don't think we're really prepared for how fast these are going to change. And I think it's important for all of you, business owners, marketers, leaders, parents. We need to keep talking about it. Even though it's not a genius yet, and it's not doing all that now, and it has its issues, we need to keep talking about it so that we can be prepared to use it. So, that's what I want to get into. So, again, so ChatGPT is what most people think about it as AI, but of course, ChatGPT is not AI, or AI is not ChatGPT. But in reality, it is super smart, it's powerful, and the thing that fascinated me, if you look at how it was built, the current AI that we use today was built by scraping the entire internet and all this information and all this knowledge. And for me, I jumped on it early because I thought that knowledge equaled power, or if I knew more, I always think that the gap in my life and my development is my knowledge. So it's like, now that I have all knowledge, what's the issue? Why am I not rich yet? You know, it's like AI is so smart and we all have access to it, but it really surprised me that the use cases, the benefits, the breakthroughs are just not there. How is it that we have all this information and yet there's a gap? And so one of my mentors, he's often talking about this guy named Eli Goldratt. Anybody ever read the book The Goal? Nobody? Oh man. Okay, one. Yeah, anyway, it's a classic book from 1984, one of the best-selling books in business of all time. I read it maybe 10 years ago. It's a business novel. It's a great story. But it's about production, industrial revolution, industrial stuff, so it didn't really make sense. But my mentor was talking about this guy a couple of years ago, and while I'm trying to use AI, I'm trying to get rich, and I'm like, what's the gap here? I listened to a lecture from this guy online, and he said that, technology can only bring benefit by diminishing limitations. Or he was talking about in the 80s when computers and infrastructure came out, that back then, computers were so advanced, but the benefit of companies, they weren't seeing the benefits back then. And it's the same thing now. It's like the issue was that they were focused on all what it can do, but they weren't focusing on what were the limitations, what were the problems. And same thing, I think, with AI. The biggest benefit you'll get with AI is I'll give you like the main point, you can probably walk out, is focusing on the weak points. Not just using all the fancy, schmancy, advanced things. Because our lives, our businesses, our organizations, there's multiple pieces to the puzzle. And if you just jump on the latest, greatest, newest hack that can take an article and turn it into a podcast and get all this fancy stuff, but if you don't understand the system of your business and where the weakest parts, try to find the way to use AI for the thing that slows down your production, and I'll get more into that. That's how you're going to actually change the whole flow of your business, not just by using all the fancy stuff. That makes sense, please. So I'll get into that. So that's kind of what I want to get into. This breakthrough technology, the only way it's going to be breakthrough is that we have to put it in the right place. We have to focus it on the way that makes a difference in our lives and businesses. And that's kind of the core thing that I spent the past 2 years playing with AI, talking about AI, teaching AI, but I've also been getting more into systems and my own behavior and other things that really make a difference. So again, that's kind of the thesis. So for those of you, we're all in marketing, I want to give you some things very practical and tactical when it comes to finding where you should point the AI in your business that's going to make a breakthrough. Okay? So I'm Arvo Craig. I've done some stuff, not much, honestly. I haven't done much. I got a computer science degree. I have a master's of divinity. It's a whole other topic. We didn't have that on my questions. So I've got some school stuff from Detroit originally. Lived in Tulsa for 12 years, and I'm here. So I do speaking and teaching on AI, and I focus specifically in 2 areas. One is AI agents, which if you have a call center or work with a call center. Okay, so I've been in call centers for a while in lead generation, so I have companies use AI for taking calls, for qualifying, fronting, transfers. I'm at a startup that does that. And I also help people use AI for business development. Like I said, I've got AI that does my business development on LinkedIn and email. I've always been into that. In 2017, I got into chatbots. That was actually how I got connected to DigiMarcon. I was speaking at DigiMarcon back in 2017, 2018, talking about how to build chatbots, because that was like the latest shiny object that kind of had me excited. And all that information, even though it wasn't AI, all that information or experience that I had building chatbots for conversations, Drift, HubSpot, ManyChat, Dialogflow, all those technologies I use all that experience when it comes to how do I program an AI chatbot to talk to people, to not make them feel weird, to not be a fake person, not try to trick them. So there's all these kind of nuances that I've learned from building chatbots that I use now when it comes to AI over voice and other channels. So that's kind of what I do. And then the workshops and the trainings. I wrote the book, the AI Strategy Playbook, early this year, simply because people kept asking me, like, what can AI do? And then I would say, it's AI good. For me, AI is a lot more and bigger than ChatGPT. And so what I had to do was show people, yes, ChatGPT does stuff, but there's all these other tools, there's all these other ways you can use it. There's this whole growing ecosystem, maybe because the AI is writing the software. So it's this interesting skyrocket of increased apps, increased opportunities, increased tools. And so the book just gives you a structured way to look at what can AI do in different parts of my business, of my funnel, things like that. So that's what the book is. That's what I do in workshops. Is something that I really think that the difference between the results you get with AI, it's like we all have access to it. We can all play with it, but we're getting to a place where we have to be more serious, to be trained, to be educated, to have policies even for safety. It's just, I feel like these past 2 years have just been a good experiment. Is it good? Is it not good? It hallucinates? It's not. We've got this kind of lackadaisical perspective with most people. And I think next year, you will see a big difference in companies' results based upon their investment in training. That's why I'm shifting more into workshops and teaching, because that's a big difference maker. So that's what we want to talk about. Let's go. The limits of my language, limit my world. So I want to first So the way this talk is going to go, we've got 30 minutes left. I want to quickly cover some basic information because I think the language makes a difference. Because again, AI is not ChatGPT. It's more than that. So I want to give you some basic foundation so that when you leave here, you can understand what AI is, where it's going, but then we'll get into how to apply it and how to get better at it, and then finding the thing that makes a difference in your business. So, quick show of hands, how many of you are paying money for like ChatGPT Plus or Claude or Gemini? Anybody spending money on more than just the free tools? Cool, gotcha, thank you. Because again, there is a difference between using what's out there and then spending a little bit more, spending $20 a month. You have a different experience. It opens up other opportunities. It changes your capabilities. So I just want to get a gist of who's in the room. Awesome. So let's get into some basics to get into. So the three things I want to give you to find your use case, to really use AI, to get the biggest benefit, three criteria. Your literacy is going to increase. Your competency, your experience, got to get a little serious of how you use it. And then I want to talk about constraints, which I kind of hinted at earlier with Eli Goldratt, and that idea of focusing on that limiting factor is the place where you get the biggest lift. Right? So that's my agenda. So first thing on literacy, again, the question is, we need to increase our literacy of AI. What is it? What it does? And where it's going? Right? So AI, of course, is not ChatGPT. It's been around for 50-something years. It's not new. Invented, talked about it in the 1950s, blah, 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 blah. And then machine learning, it's been around, Netflix, all of social media, all you all here that do marketing, that use Facebook ads, Google ads, you're concerned about algorithms and social media, all that stuff. That's all AI. It is the computer looking at patterns, looking at what people do and predicting what they want. We all have been using AI for a long time. So again, AI is not new. But it's been evolving in how it works to the fact that in 2017, 2018, this ChatGPT or generative AI was invented as a new way to train the AI. And that's what's new, right? So that's what just started a couple of years ago. I can go back. So, that's AI. It's been around for a while. When you really get down to how it does what it does, there's three factors that make AI powerful and growing. One is the compute. Any of you heard of the company NVIDIA? Yep. Why is NVIDIA? They're a chip maker. They are the compute. They're the brains, or they're the power, the energy that powers AI. And that's new. That's why it's popular now, because they've increased their ability, and that makes a big difference. Algorithms and models, whatever that means, that's the GPT part. That's the actual programming that makes it smart, makes it figure out stuff. And then lastly is the data. As I said earlier, ChatGPT and most of the AI we use today was built by scraping, stealing, plagiarizing the internet, right? Everything online is what they've used. So there's this philosophy that the more data we get, the smarter it'll be. So they've used all this data. They have the smartest, most powerful algorithms and NVIDIA chips. They think the more the better. And right now, that has been true. They put more into it, and it's getting better. But in the future, this philosophy may or may not continue to be true. They may start looking at not just masses of data, because there's bias. Everything on the internet is not good, right? Everything on the internet is not true, right? And, so is AI hallucinating? I don't know. Google hallucinates. Just because I Google something, I pull out something, and it's a tweet, it's a Reddit post, it's a blog, that doesn't mean it's true. Some people say AI hallucinates, it's not telling the truth. Nothing tells the truth. It's for your job. But AI in the future is going to start not just using as much data as you can find, it's going to get more specific. So that's the pillars of AI. And then the last thing I'll say, just to educate you to understand what AI is, what it does, and where it's going. I don't know if you've ever seen this stages of AGI. The word AGI stands for Artificial General Intelligence. And what that means is, it's the idea when AI is as smart as a human. And this 5 levels is actually like the vision of OpenAI. And I think it's important to understand the AI people in Silicon Valley or wherever they are, these scientists, why are they doing what they're doing? Where are they going? Because they are literally affecting our lives. But this is what they want, right? And there's these different levels of how AI influences our lives, what it does. And just for your own education, I think it's important to know where it's going. So, and chatbots, like level one is what ChatGPT is, right? It's just a chatbot, you can talk to it about all that data. Reasoners is a different way of AI, where it doesn't just give you the fastest answer as soon as possible based upon all its information. It actually stops, it thinks, and they've discovered that the longer it thinks, the better results it'll give you. So like a month ago, OpenAI came out with their first version of a reasoning type of chatbot, or ChatGPT has a reasoning version. And its ability to give you information and actually not hallucinate, but to think like a human, that just came out like a month ago. So that's just getting started. So I just want to get, if you're not aware, that's out now. So for example, I asked a basic ChatGPT, somebody said, we were like testing it, like, I talked to a guy who said he was given an offer to work at Google 20 years ago, and I forgot what the number was, but they offered him 100,000 shares in 2005, 6, 7. And he asked ChatGPT, how much would those shares be today? And the basic ChatGPT would do some basic math and come up with it, and it came up with a number, maybe like $5, $6, $7 million worth of shares. I put that in the reasoning version of ChatGPT. It didn't give me an answer as fast as possible. It stopped, it thought, it went through the news and said, okay, there was a stock split here, so that it's not just, so it did more calculations, it did more thinking, and that number was like 300 million or 200 million. So, and the same, and a lot of the AI is built to mimic the human brain. Just to give you another little nerdy fact. The fact that I can ask you a question and your gut reaction, you can give an answer if you already know it in your memory, but there's another way of thinking that instead of just give the fastest answer, your instinct, humans, we think slowly. For deeper, harder problems, we think more. And they're mimicking the way the brain works, and that's how they're building AI. So that's level 2. Reasoners are just getting started. And I don't know if you've heard Anthropic that makes Claude. So agents is a term that a lot of people use, AI agents, but what they actually mean, there's no consistent definition. So just to give you, again, the agents. Is it really an agent? Not in this sense. The agents, again, this is virtual agents, the AI that makes calls. But when you look at here, what the AI people, when they call agents, it's when AI can not just think and do, it's moving, it's controlling your computer, it's more interactive. And last week, or was it this week, Claude or Anthropic came out with their first version of an agent, where just like a ChatGPT, Claude is a different one, where it can do stuff on your computer. So that baby version just came out. The baby version of reasoning just came out. And you see number 4 is when AI can innovate or invent things. And then level 5 is when AI can be a fully operating organization and company where thousands or millions of AIs work together with a different AI to do stuff. This is where things are going. So again, it's just, to me, it's good to know and kind of understand where we are today, where things are going, because you have to decide which is going to be your role. How do you navigate it? How do you manage it? How do you control it yourself? But then you also need to think about it, think about your kids, your family. Again, not to go too deep, but that's kind of where my mind goes. It's just good to know where things are going, because most people are completely unaware of what's really happening. So that's increase your AI literacy. Follow what's happening. I say at least one podcast a month. One newsletter a month. I used to read all the tweets and all the newsletters, and it was overwhelming. But I'd say at least one a month. Grab something. If you don't know, if you don't have a podcast, check out the Marketing AI Institute for marketers. It's a great place to go. Marketing AI Institute is a place where they do a weekly podcast. It's like my main one source to learn about AI. and what's happening and how to use it and everything. So the second thing is you have to actually do it more, right? Ethan Mollick, if you want to go to Audible and find a great book on AI, Ethan Mollick is the best book out there on just general AI information for today. So to get good at AI, you have to use it. Saw this meme, it's pretty funny. You have to get experience doing something, because the way you're going to get benefit is that you have to apply it in your own life, and you have to figure out in your own life where it makes the most sense. And there are no experts. People may know the science, but they don't know the best application for your world. So one of the biggest things I always try to show people is that AI is more than just the models. The way I look at AI, the way I use it, the way I teach it, is that the first level, the AI models, the large language models, the ChatGPT, the Anthropic, the Google, Gemini, Facebook's Llama, I put Midjourney, which is an image, probably heard of it, and then Runway is a video. That's one way to use AI. And for me, that was always the least practical way I would use AI. Because I didn't want to leave my computer, leave what I'm doing, and then jump into a random piece of software and try to have a conversation with it just to get a blog post. Because I know I like writing, I like communicating, but that context switching, the change management wasn't natural. So I spent most of my energy on the app layer, because I didn't want just AI, I wanted AI that would do stuff. So apps, and there's tons of apps, and I've always kind of used different tools, like I mentioned before, the AI business development tool, the AI calling tool. I've always looked for automations. I think those logos, first is Beautify, Beautiful.ai, it's a presentation maker, Jasper, which has been around for a long time. That does writing, V-Agents, and then Opus Clip, right? I'll take my videos, got my camera over there. I'll take that, I'm sure you might have seen those tools. I'll take my video from this talk, put it in Opus Clip. It'll give you 30 shorts for YouTube Shorts, for Reels, for TikTok, right? So I've always quickly used those kind of apps. I don't know how to use Runway and all the AI video. I don't need that. But what I have needed is, there's niche apps for everything. So if you want to get use, yes, you can use ChatGPT, but I'll say search for an app that already does it. Legacy apps now, of course, every piece of software has AI built into it. Salesforce, HubSpot, Google Workspace, Office, right? So again, if you want to use AI, and if you're not using it, you're probably using it, but the easiest way might be the tools that you're already using. And if you're at a larger company, you got security issues, you got data issues and privacy issues. If you're already approved to use Salesforce, if you're already using HubSpot, your fastest strategy to get a good use could be you finding AI that's already built in the tool you're already using, while you may play around a little bit more with ChatGPT or Claude. So that's maybe your easiest way to get benefit. And then lastly, no-code apps where you actually build what you want. Zapier and Make, they're all bringing in AI in there. There's Respell and Relevance.ai. So those are the 4 different ways, if you want to use AI, and you're not a developer, you're not writing software, it's not just ChatGPT. It's finding apps, legacy apps that have been around, Canva, Adobe, right? Everybody has AI. Look to those legacy apps or niche apps. And if you really want to get specific, you can go to the no-code app. So that's kind of how you get it. And the last thing when it comes to having experience increase your competency, like I said, I focus on the apps, not on the prompting, but I'm realizing even when I'm guiding my AI to make phone calls, or if I'm guiding AI for my business development, I realize that prompting strategies or prompting best practices are actually irrelevant when I'm using AI in those other tools. And I know about prompting, but I just wanted to use the apps. But it is going to be valuable for you to understand different ways, the best practices to talk to an AI or a large language model known as prompt engineering. The last 2 things here is that if you're not coming up with your own personal projects, even if your company has issues, whether it's on the side, or everybody got a side hustle, I'm sure. Even if it's for a side hustle or a weekend, make sure you increase your experience even on personal projects if you're not yet doing something formally at your company. Play with the models, understand what they're doing, but also find an app that's going to solve your problems. And then lastly, if you do have a company and the company is doing things, you're going to have to start creating a culture, piloting projects, working as a team with AI. You're going to have some basic policies with AI, meaning what AI tools should you use and not use in your company. Like again, if you're using a free version, you understand, Facebook, anything that's free, you're paying with your data. You're paying with your privacy. So if you pay for ChatGPT or you get ChatGPT Teams, spend $30 a month per person, you at least have a layer of security, of privacy, and there's more things you can do to control. So as a company, you need to know create a culture where people know what they should do, what they shouldn't do, what tools to use, what data goes in and what data doesn't go in. Understanding that whenever you're using AI, there has to be a process where the AI isn't running on its own and going directly to the customer or directly out, there has to be a human in the loop. So whether you're automating things or creating content, you have to have a policy that understands we never do stuff without a person QAing it and checking it and guiding it. So those are just some policies, but there's kind of things you kind of need to do to get the experience. And again, there's no right or wrong way necessarily. If you're not doing it right now, you just got to get going. The one thing I've learned, again, from talking to people, even myself, there is a big difference of what we're underestimating. Some people think AI is stupid, it doesn't work, I can write better than that, I can design better than that, and then there's people that think it can do amazing, and they're overestimating what it can do. And you have to get the experience to actually understand the difference. Because I overestimated what it could do in many ways. I would quickly sign up for the newest app, sign up for the newest tool, give them my money, give them my data, say make me rich, and I come back and it's not good. But then you could assume, oh, it's not smart. But the balance is it takes time. If you spent 6 months, oh, it's a long time, 6 months figuring out one use case, then you could see some breakthrough, amazing results. If you really figured it out and you took the time, your guidance, that's one thing about marketers or people with experience. The AI needs your experience. It needs your eyes to guide it. And again, if you can put in the time and guide it and tweak it and tweak it and tweak it and tweak it, again, I'm trying to make it longer. It's not a 1 week thing. It's not I'm going to leave and go home and try something. Oh, it didn't work. Because two things are happening. You're going to get better. You're going to understand the nuances of how to really guide it. And every month, something new is happening in AI. So even though it may have some problems and some weaknesses, 90 days from now, it's going to be incredibly different. And because you have the experience, you can understand those differences, and then you'll see things change. So get the literacy, understand what AI is, where it's going, spend some time, get the experience in all those different modalities, whether it's an AI model itself or your favorite app or tool. And then lastly, I'd say focus on the constraints. It's kind of a little bit more nebulous kind of perspective, but when I say constraints, which is from the book Theory of Constraints, which is kind of a high-level term, that means the bottleneck or the limitation or the problems. Right? Once you get all this information, you get all this capability and skills, you're going to find somewhere in your business, your flow, because again, from the Theory of Constraints, from the goal, what I learned was that every business, department, campaign, funnel, industry, there are places that there's a constraint, there's a limiting factor in those systems, and if you can find out the limiting factor, then you can get the results. But you gotta figure that out in your domain. You gotta figure out what works for you. I've been thinking like myself, my limiting factor is probably my attention, right? And I think that's for a lot of people. What is our environment like? What are we allowing to get our attention, which is normal, which is apps and or marketers are taking our own attention. There's so many distractions. So one of my goals, I think, in next year, if I wanted to get the biggest benefit in my own life with AI, I think if I could find a way to use AI to remove distractions from me, that could be the biggest benefit I could probably get in my own personal productivity. What would it take to, whether it's email, notifications, whatever, how would I feel safe and comfortable that I didn't have to look at or just check in or view if I can manage my attention or remove all the distractions? I think that's like my personal bottleneck, and I can imagine that's a lot of people's. So again, it may not be finding the newest tool, just, anyway, that's a soapbox. So again, from a business model, it's a couple different ways I want to break this down. If you look at your company, those of you who run companies or even your own business, there's different ways of, whether it's a flywheel or a funnel, you can look at this whole thing. So again, the question is, where in your system is the weakest link? So now that when you get experience using AI and you've played around with some personal projects and you've done some pilots, if you look at the company, big picture business model, there's going to be somewhere in your perspective or your system of your company, there's going to be a weak point. And I would encourage you, consider looking at the weak point in your company and focus and then start brainstorming, how do we use AI here? And even as marketers, again, I said, I've been building chatbots since 2017, and chatbots would help with CRO, with conversions on websites. I use chat and automation for confirmations. It helps out in support. It communicates. So there's all kind of things, even as a marketer, because if you're in marketing, and if you're also in some kind of automation, if you're in like communication, those skills can be used to unlock all types of different constraints. So just think about that from a high level. But specifically in marketing, it's its own little funnel of opportunity, right? And so as a marketer, you can look at a campaign level, you could be looking at a department level, again, my book, I have to hide the book, but it's like, I learned from the Marketing AI Institute to look into a marketing campaign from the planning stage, strategy thinking, there's production of content. We think about AI, most people just think of the production side, but then there's the personalization side. How can we take masses of content and use AI to give each and every individual person a unique experience? So there's all these different ways. And then promotion, again, Facebook ads and Google ads, they're powered by AI, and they've been like that for a long time. That's not a new thing. So it's like, when you look at a campaign that you're running, and you wanted to use AI, if you look at this perspective, which is the weakest point? Which of these things is the limiting factor that keeps you from hitting your goals? Whether you want to double, you want to triple, you want to do whatever you're doing from a marketing perspective, find the constraint in the way you run campaigns, and that could be the thing that you focus on to bring results. Maybe got a couple last slides, and if we have time, I'd love to squeeze through here and get to maybe some questions. Not that I can answer them. So here's some practical steps. If you like steps, a little checklist here. I'll just bring all these down. So a practical list to find a use case. Take your job, break it down into tasks or steps, and then you could know where is the weak point. Where's the weak point in your own job? Look for the constraints or problems. The simplest way to use AI, if you actually know what it should do, which is important, simply replace what you're already doing. Find one step that it can replace or it can do faster. Again, for me, Opus Clip and video stuff, I can edit videos myself. I'm not good at it, but I can do it. But this can do it without me even, it saves me time. It's not better than me, but it does save me time. And if that's a constraint, then that's where I can use it. And after you do that, then it's like, how can you make things better? Not just replace it, do it faster. And then again, then there's this idea of innovation where what's new? What new things can we do that we haven't even done before? I think these things kind of go in order. I think it helps to get the education, to get the experience, to apply it. I think your ideas, your imagination opens up. But you don't have to do all kinds of stuff. So Jobs GPT is a interesting tool. So for those of you who don't know, there's probably GPTs are when you can make ChatGPT do a specific thing just for you. You can make your own versions and give it out for free. Jobs GPT is a really cool tool that the Marketing AI Institute, I mentioned earlier, they came up with this. It's a free tool. And what it does is you put in it a job title, it will tell you, it'll help you break down all the typical tasks that that job typically does. And then it says, it gives you an exposure key, like how much of this job is exposed to AI or threatened by AI, or how much of this job can AI do now, and how much of this person's job, of these tasks, could be replaced by AI in the future. It's just a really, really cool tool, especially if you're thinking about the future, not just today, not just the end of the year, but if you think about next year, or a career. And this is an example that I think I put in there, marketing. You can mute it. Might have me. I don't know what I said, but you can see here what it's doing. It's taking the job of a marketing director. It comes up with a high level, these are things that a director does, and then exposure is how much of AI can do that. So it's like 30% of strategy you can do, there's budgeting, content. So exposure 1 is like, okay, 0 is no exposure. See, 1 is directly, it can directly do that task. But it goes through any job you can imagine and saying, how much of a threat or exposed is that job, is those tasks. But it's to give you an idea. If it's a direct exposure, that means AI can help out with this. If it's like, when it gets down to negotiating, firing, hiring, yeah, it's probably 0. And some people say, AI it's not going to replace a plumber or a, mechanic. I don't know if you saw the whole, Elon Musk had this announcement of his robot person. But AI will affect everything, even in the physical world, just as a key. And so again, my big point is you need to know what's happening so you can plan for it, so you can strategize, you can understand your role and what's happening in the future. But this is a great tool, JobGPT, and I have a link on my site. If you want another basic list of what can AI do, you can snap a photo of this list of use cases and just general ideas. AI can do this, AI can do that, based upon these different areas or departments within marketing. Of course, you can always hit me up later if you've got a question about it. And I have a link to all these things. The last thing I'll just say, I kind of showed you from the business model, you can see where AI can do stuff in your job or your department or campaign. There's also another way to look at how to find a use case, just looking through the eyes of your customer. And this is kind of it's a deeper way of thinking, but in your customer's life, this quote by Eli Goldratt, value is created. The same way I said, finding the constraint of the limitation. If you can think about your customer journey, whatever they're coming to you for, there's a gap in their own lives, and there's a need, a limitation. If you can maybe use AI to solve their biggest pain point in a unique way, it may or may not relate to your business, but if you can think about your customer journey and use AI to help them, that can also open up you to other opportunities. I think AI came out with this image. So again, how can you allow your customer to do something they couldn't have done before? It's a good thought experiment. As simple as it's like translate. Like, yeah, maybe you need to use AI to do something in a different language, to create content. And this is like simple things, but it's outside of your normal flow. When you think about the gaps in your customers' lives or their journey, if you understand them really well, there's a way you can maybe use AI to help them better, and that can spread and go viral in solving their problems. So the last thing I'll kind of end this with, there's my recap of kind of what we already talked about. How to find your breakthrough. You need a level of literacy. You need to follow what's happening, and then you need to use it. You need a culture that shares ideas. You need to have a culture where you need to have people dedicated. Maybe it's just one person or a small team dedicated to figure out AI, but you also have a culture where you share. This is what I figured out. Every week, this is what I'm doing. Don't make it scary or people they don't want to share what they're doing. Like, am I going to get it? People are insecure about their role, their job, because companies haven't made it comfortable. That these are our values, this is what AI is going to do, this is how at least we see the next 2-3 years, your job is secure, people are afraid you can share what they're doing. But if you can actually create a culture where you share, you'll get ideas because your colleague can maybe figure out something that you couldn't figure out, but they're not telling you. They just happen to be, at Sedona while you're busy working, and you're like, what's going on? They figure it's AI working for them. But if you can make a culture where sharing, you'll get more ideas, and eventually it's going to benefit the company. It's going to benefit the business. You don't have to be afraid to share. Or if you can create that culture, it'll be helpful for you. My time is about up, but these are the things that I do with AI. I use, chatbots for CRO, for CX, the voice agents, I mentioned that. I have SDRs, I mentioned that. Custom GPTs for email newsletters. I put all my past emails, my mentors' emails, and I create my own custom emails. It's one thing that I do all the time. So these are things I do. AI video, as I mentioned earlier, messaging and notes, voice commands. That's a big thing. I've got 3 different voice apps. One, Apple Intelligence, is now allowing me to talk to my computer and do stuff. And I have 2 other tools and RBLCraig.com, of course, has AI, has a list of my AI tools. My time is just about up. Lastly, the 3 things I'm doing differently. I'm shifting from using AI to make content. I'm spending more time on strategy and planning. I think that's the constraint. And then personal to business model, voice commands, I mentioned that. These are some things that I'm doing. This picture is not scientific. The black picture is AI in the next couple of years. The yellow is the average person, and the green is if you actually study and you educate yourself and you don't just do what comes natural, but you actually invest time and energy. I think there's going to be you're going to make that gap smaller. Literacy, experience, education. I think that's going to be a big differentiator when it comes to getting benefits with AI. Again, my time is up, and thank you so much. Questions during lunch. Find me at lunch if you have questions.
Thank you, Oka.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, great way to start off our morning. As Arvel mentioned, questions, hit him up at lunch. And I also want to make a quick plug, as Arvel was talking about kind of this culture of discussing some of the ways that we can use AI as we break out for lunch, as we break out for breaks throughout the day. This might be a great opportunity if you're connecting with somebody new. Ask them, how are you using AI in your business? What are some of the use cases that you found? That can be a great way to collaborate and share ideas and begin to think about how you can unlock new time, how you can unlock new strategies for your organization. Okay, let's go ahead and get on to our next speaker